For my oral history report, I decided to interview my grandmother. She is one of my biggest inspirations in life. She is strong, brave, and everything I want to be.
When I first interviewed my grandmother, she told me that the first event that had come to mind was the space race between the United States and the Russians. She was in high school when it had happened, when the Russians sent the first satellite, Sputnik, into space. It was only the size of a basketball, but it had started the space race. The race continued until the U.S. landed the first man on the moon. And before that event, she remembers that there were not too many people enrolled in engineering or sciences in college. There was not much interest in that field. That event had a big impact on her life because she married an engineer and then she later became a science teacher. She said it also changed the world in many ways. The country had pride in themselves. After talking to her for a few minutes, she revealed to me that the biggest event for their family was the Vietnam War. Her husband, Bud, had gotten a draft notice shortly after they were married. Since he was married and a college student, he got deferred. He didn't have to go to war at that time. But as soon as he graduated, he was drafted once again. My grandpa, Bud, had joined the Air Force and went to basic training when my Aunt Sandy was only 3 days old. When he went to training in California, my Aunt Sandy and my grandmother went with him, and he then became an electronic warfare officer. He was assigned to a flight crew and left for the war. He flew many missions during the war. He was awarded several medals for all of those missions. When my grandfather was home on leave, my grandma became pregnant with my dad, Brian. He made it back home only 3 days before my dad was born. A couple years after the war, he got out of the Air Force, and we have stayed in Texas and have lived here ever since. While my grandma says it was some of the hardest times when my grandfather, Bud, was away from her, she said that it grew her to the woman that she is today. She is now independent, strong, and can handle anything, and she has a special appreciation for all of those who have served our country.